Good evening, guten Abend, ja, servus, na wie geht's? Schöne Leute, ja, also das Licht, die Ampel ist nicht gut genug, ja, yeah, there we go, a little bit brighter. I was trying to make it give that night feel, but it wasn't working out. Night moves. Welcome back to the program, folks. All those coming over from Ronaldo's stream for Night Owls. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here. Let me just greet people in the chat very quickly. Someone said they're in Brisbane. I think it's like 4:45 in the morning in Brisbane. There's a night owl right there. Truly a night owl, 4:45 in the morning in Brisbane. Welcome in from Australia. There's Pablo Charlie. Emile Therrett is here. Charles Van Onselen, the voice of reason on this program. Jacques Joubert, and sorry I pronounced it the French fashion. It is a French origin surname. The Jose guy sent me here. Okay, Keith Alderson in from Coventry. Thomas Gosling is... Oh, there's Thomas is in Brisbane. Welcome, Thomas. Charles Van Onselen's tab crash. That's been happening a lot with YouTube lately. It's not a conspiracy against me. It's just a YouTube thing. They've got something going on. The data they're sending is causing tabs to crash in browsers. Happening to a lot of people. It happens to me as well. And even in my studio it happens, which is very frustrating. George is here. George is telling me that Ronaldo sent him. What? That's not right, man. You got sent there from here, and you came back. Val Cooper is here as well. And chip in whatever you like. All right, cool beans. So you're sharing that with Jacques. Okay. Mento. Dude, where's the S? I wanted a Mentos, not a Mento. Welcome, Mento. Pleasure to have you join us. Dylan Comberg is always here. Thank you, Dylan, for being around. Robert Z.A. Hey, Robert. Yeah, it was nice that Ronaldo asked everybody to give a shout out to you. It was pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of visitors here tonight. Ashley Engelbrecht is back. Welcome to you. Good to see you again. Neville Purden says, how about a shorter intro? Well, Neville, here's the problem. So I did a shorter intro this morning. What winds up happening is because YouTube doesn't notify people, I have very few viewers, and then people miss the opening news. And when I do breaking news, we want people to know about it. So I get your point where you're coming from there, but I've experimented with many different things. And I find that the musical intro tends to work best at building an audience. So I'll take a look at it again, though. But thank you for that comment, Neville. I do appreciate that. Heradis Heb is back. Diane Humpel's here. Welcome, Diane. The scientist, Keith Alderson, says, welcome from Brisbane, even if it's Scott. Is Scott in Brisbane? I never knew where he was, over down under. Matthew Dixon is here. Light rain in from the West Coast. The scientist, short intro will do. Oh, okay. Now we're all looking for a shorter intro. Okay, fine. I did a short intro this morning. And how many viewers? Did a short intro this morning. What do we got? 340. No, that's not it. That is, 347 views. And 408 now. So 400 people. Yeah, so for the one this morning. There was no intro. I just went live. So, yeah. Oh, the intro is way too long. Okay, all right. Well, that's 3 people. All right, let's do a poll, okay? All right? Because I can, start a poll. There you go. Jacques Bota says, new here. Enjoy your content. Well, thank you very much, Jacques. Bye, Donkey. It's very kind of you. Yeah, I used to do the Night Owls every day, but with my schedule and everything going, I didn't. Today, I did my news program early because I had a clinic visit, which was scheduled yesterday. I went, I had an EKG and an examination by my primary care physician. Actually, I have a primary care physician, something 36 years in the Army. I never actually had one. I was assigned one, but I never saw the same doctor more than once. The only time I usually saw a doctor was when I had to go get immunizations to travel abroad or get, malaria meds or something like that, or, routine physicals. And I virtually never saw the same doctor in 36 years in the Army, so whatever. But I have a primary care physician now at the military clinic, and I see him. I saw him today, and he did a very thorough check. So I was concerned about something, and it turns out it might just be a muscular issue, which is actually a relief. That's good news. I just don't want to be paranoid about it, but also didn't want to be, drop dead because I'm, Ranger Rick and too stubborn to go see a physician. So I saw a physician, and things look pretty good. My EKG was great. My resting heart rate, wow. So let's see. When they took my heart, now I'd had some caffeine and sugar less than an hour before I was there, so that can affect the results. But a lot of people would kill for these numbers. So this was my pulse, my heart rate. Yeah. So look at that. That was when I was in the clinic earlier. 131/90, and my pulse was 50. So when I got the EKG said my pulse was 48. So if I'd relaxed any more, I would be comatose. 48. Charles says, my explanation for the intro makes more sense now. It does, because we tried it without the intro, without the music, because frankly, deleting the music, that's what I have to do. I have to delete that music after the fact. It's really annoying and frustrating. Plus, the more you do it, the more YouTube pays attention to your channel. I mean, but I have the copyright anyway. So it's actually easier for me not to play the long intro, but people miss the news. And then I constantly get throughout the news interrupted. Hey, what about this? Did you hear about this? But dude, I covered that in the first 5 minutes, but nobody was here because the notifications go out and people aren't here. So anyway, so really big channels, over 1 million subs, have 15-minute intros to give everyone a chance to tune in. There you go, Chris. See, that's what I'm getting at. See, that's it. I noticed that too. That's another thing. Now, I don't have 15-minute intros because, you know, I people pay for their data. But yeah, I do. Pete Hakes at Defense, great choice, says Pablo Charlie. Haters will cry. I'm not a hater, and I don't think it's a great choice. I think it's going to be very disruptive. Pulse is super low. Wow. Yeah, Charles, look at that. 48. That's 50 when I was when I walked in. 48 when I was resting on the EKG. Yeah, that's so the true story. I mean, with the Santa Claus beard and the longer hair, it's time for a haircut again. I look older than my age. Well, I start to look my age, I think, but I look older than people think. Anyway, so without that, with the short hair, without the beard, people always mistake me for much younger. So the doctor who saw me today, you know, he sees a bunch of people. He's so overworked and overwhelmed, and he didn't have time to look through my age and all that. And he's met me a few times, and he's given me very good care, by the way. But, you know, it's not like we're buds and we hang out and then have a braai or drink a beer together. And so as I was sitting down to set up for him checking my lungs, and he said, so, you know, so you're about 50, right? I said, no, doc, I'm about 60. So, so a physician thinks I look like I'm turning 50. I look at what I'm actually turning 60. So anyway, lots of content creators, huge channels. I already saw that. Okay. James likes the intro music. So that Dylan says, come to South Africa. Okay, Obama wasn't born in USA. Mine is probably close to double that rate, says Charles. Wow. Your heart is like a hummingbird. Yep. Colonel, you don't look a day younger than 80. Well, thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that vote of confidence. Sit down, Matthew. Go to the back of the classroom. Isn't Hawaii in the U.S.? Yes, it is. Hawaii is in the U.S. That's why I was born. And so is the Canal Zone. When John McCain was born, his father was an admiral in the Navy, or a captain in the Navy, and he was born in the Canal Zone, the Panama Canal Zone, which was U.S. territory at the time. So he was technically born in America. Neville says there's a reason for the shorter request for an intro. We will not elaborate. Well, then I can't discern what's going on. Always blushing. Yeah, no, well, I mean, my face is red because of the rosacea that I've got. Thanks for the mask wearing there, you paranoid COVID freaks. Anyway, yeah, so the rosacea makes my face look red. It's always pink. Yep. Anyway, so that's a little bit of explanation on that, so. But Matthew says, I don't look a day younger than 80. I do appreciate that. It's good to be loved. What's up with Pick, Pay, and ShopRite? Well, they're in trouble, Pablo Charlie. Pick and Pay is in a lot of trouble. They're underwater. Their assets are worth less than their debts. And that's not a good sign. That is not a good sign. So, but I look, Pick and Pay is among my preferred shopping destinations. In Botswana, I usually went to Pick and Pay. In South Africa, it's either Pick and Pay or one of the big checkers I'll go to, but I'm not a ShopRite guy. I'll stay away from ShopRite. I've never gone to Boxer. I don't know it. I just know it from reading it, researching it, but I've never actually shopped there. So it's kind of like Dischem. I can't shop at a place called Dischem. It sounds like a toilet cleaner, doesn't it? I mean, Dischem. It sounds like the stuff you pour in your toilet bowl with a brush to clean out. Disinfectant chemicals. Dischem. Who in the world would come up with the name Discount Chemicals? Discount Chemist. I know what it comes from. Yeah, but Discount, yeah, Checkers is way better. Yeah, I like Checkers, Lawrence. Checkers is among my favorites. Matthew says, well, I'm his favorite Colonel. Matthew, be honest. You don't know any Colonels except the KFC. You got me all choked up about that, so... Was John Thune the correct choice? What was John Thune picked for? Oh, dear God. No, John. Oh, no. For what? John Thune wasn't picked. What are you asking if John Thune was the correct choice for? You're throwing me off here. Let's get to Epic Times because I know they're going to have it. Washington Post will have it too. So Maybe there's been more announcements while I was out. Oh, it's the Senate Majority Leader. No, wrong choice. Wrong choice. Rick Scott was the right choice. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I didn't see that. Okay, so they've picked him. That was in the last hour. Remember, I was on the road an hour ago. Wow. Senate Republicans chose Senator John Thune of South Dakota to be their new leader. John Thune was a very promising guy when he came up, when he wasn't gray, to go to the Senate, but now he's just a permanent career politician who's a rhino. So I don't trust him for a heartbeat. Yeah, they rejected pressure from Trump's allies to break with the establishment. He's a close ally of Mitch McConnell, which tells you we're screwed. He's been critical of Trump in the past, which we're screwed. He beat John Cornyn. That would have been worse, though. Thune beat John Cornyn, who was previously in Senate leadership, but had promised colleagues he would change the way conference had been run. 29-24. And Rick Scott must not have got any votes. Wow. Wow. This isn't good. It's not the worst outcome, but it's not good. It's not good. John Thune will squander the Republicans' 53-seat majority in the Senate, just like Mitch McConnell squandered when he had majority leadership. Yeah. No, he's not the House leader. John Thune is in the Senate, Pablo. So actually, I don't think very highly of John Thune being selected. He has proven to be a major disappointment, much like many of the fake rhinos who ran as Tea Party candidates, like Marco Rubio, Michelle Bachmann, all these people that ran as Tea Party candidates and then just turned out to be typical Washington, in it for themselves, not there for the people. Yeah, so anyway, let's take a look at Trump's selections now for the cabinet, if any more have been announced. It doesn't look like there have been. No more announcements for Trump's cabinet. It's the same ones that I talked about this morning. And I did take a look at the votes while I was chatting with Ronaldo earlier, and at the moment, that's what I was looking for earlier. Be darned. I do have an update on the House. We're going to talk about that. Republicans are 2 seats short of majority because they're still counting votes. But some good news. In the last hour, a couple of Republicans in close races continue to hold leads. Let's get to that very quickly here. Let me bring that one up here. So, 216 for the 208 needed. Democrats 207. That's disappointing there. But you see all that red. Those are seats that are locked in. Here are the seats. Alaska, Begich is now up by 3 points with 91% of the votes counted. That's as of 6 hours ago. So that was a morning issue. We should get an update on that in a few hours. He has a nearly 10,000 vote lead. So that seems insurmountable in Alaska, which only has a few 100,000 votes. I'm pretty sure that Begich is going to win that Alaska 1st District. In California's 41st District, Calvert is up by 3 with 85% of the vote in. 8,000 vote margin. That seems pretty secure. In California 13, this one's a little less secure. Duarte is up by 2% with 3,000 vote lead, but only 71% of the vote in. That's been in the last hour, but he's maintained that lead over time. He's actually increased it slightly. And then in Arizona's District 6, with 90% of the vote in, reported last night, Cisco Mani is up by 7,000 votes. I think that's probably secure. In California's 45th District, Steele is up by, now Steele has gained, Steele is up by 0.38, now up by 0.78. With 90% of the votes in reported within the last hour, Steele is up by 2,200 votes. So that's possible. And in Iowa District 1, Miller Meeks is holding that slight lead, which was 700 some votes, now increased to 813 with over 95% of the votes. So just a handful of votes out there. That looks like Miller Meeks might win that race too. That would give 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's going to be 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 222 for the Republicans potentially. There you go. So that's what's coming there. Don't forget they're being hired by Trump to perform. They might hear you're fired sooner. Yeah, exactly. What about the government? What's your opinion of Trump's Doge? I mentioned on Ronaldo's program, I'm not a fan of it. Why are we going to make government smaller by creating more government bureaucracy? Department of Education needs to go. Bye. And Doge, if it's just like an ad hoc sort of czar sort of thing, I don't have a problem with it. But if it comes with a big budget and a staff, then I'm going to have issues. 15 minutes from some spar. What's going on there? Robert said, I say someone like Doc Peter Hotez. Huh? What am I missing here? Checkers owned by... Okay, I missed a bunch here in the chat. Let me go back. All right, you guys are saying all kinds of things in the chat, and I haven't seen it. Where is my darn... There it is, my stream. All right, I want to end that poll. Okay, so it's about even. About half want me to have a shorter introduction. Half don't are fine with it. Okay, make it 45 minutes, says Pablo. Yeah, and Light Rain is correct. Lots of content creators with big channels with 500,000, 1 million, 2, 3 million. They spend a long time doing intros. It's how you welcome people in, whether you use music or you have conversation. I even tried it with my, opening monologue, my opening point. I don't always have one. So anyway, back to this. So there's a reason why we're calling for shorter. Okay, it was there. No, Jonathan was not the correct choice, but he was the best of what we had there. Stephanie likes woolies. I like woolies in South Africa, but they're very pricey. And in Botswana, they were a bit unreliable. Plus, they were tiny little woolies. They weren't big ones. But yeah, woolies is good. I've got some nice T-shirts I bought from there on sale at the Cape Town, at the Victorian Alfred Waterfront Woolies when I was in South Africa last time. Yeah, Checkers is owned by one of the two. Okay, what do I think of Thune? Not thrilled, Ashley. Checkers owned by ShopRite. I was sent to obese, pasty doctor for a physical. I was thinking, is he really qualified? Stephanie wants to know how Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee is a fantastic person. I would have been perfectly fine with Mike Huckabee becoming president of the United States. It wasn't my choice, but I would have voted for him in a heartbeat. Yeah, Mike Huckabee is a rare breed of person who's just a genuine good human being who treats people fairly. And he's being characterized or mischaracterized by Philip DeWitt, who has wet his nappies about this appointment, calling him all kinds of nasty, disparaging remarks. Basically, he's obviously a person that doesn't believe in people of faith. Mike Huckabee is a pastor, former governor of Arkansas. His daughter is the current governor of Arkansas. Yep. So, yeah, he's a really good human being. He'll be a fantastic fit as ambassador. I think it's Trump's best pick is Mike Huckabee. It's brilliant. So, how many appointments he made so far? Well, none, because they all have to be ratified by the Senate. But he's picked, except the chief of staff. They don't have to do that. He picked chief of staff. He's got defense, Pete Hegseth. Well, let's just put that on the screen. I'm going to have to put the screen up because that's not my Firefox. Here we go. So, here's what we got. Vice president, of course, is already locked in. Then the chief of staff is Susie Wiles. That's a brilliant choice. Defense, Pete Hegseth. I'm not sold on that. Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, the South Dakota governor. State, Marco Rubio. Not thrilled, but it could be fine because Marco Rubio did what he's told to do, and that's good for Trump. CIA, John Radcliffe, good choice. Environmental Protection Agency, Lee Zeldin. I think that's another body that needs to be eliminated, but a good choice. And United Nations Ambassador is Elise Stefanik. Whatever. I don't really care about the United Nations. It's really not doing anything for me. Not particularly helpful. So that's where we're at on that. Let me get back to the chat. Okay. And I already mentioned Doge. My thoughts on that. Okay, my thing got locked up here. How many appointments? Okay, that's all the appointments there. No. Republicans need to gain majority in all spheres of government to make significant change quickly. Yes, Neville, and we need to get rid of Josh Shapiro. I wish we could find an impeachable offense for him. How does the vote work in the House? Is the public who votes? No, I don't understand your question, Matthew. You like to troll, so I'm assuming this is a real question. The way the vote works in the House is that there are 435 members of the House of Representatives, and they vote. Plus 3 for the District of Columbia, but they don't really matter. Their vote doesn't count on votes, only Electoral College. So those 435 members of the House vote on measures. Simple as that. Jacques says Philip DeWitt is butthurt because Huckabee got appointed. Oh, he's very butthurt. And look, I knew nothing about Philip DeWitt until recently, but that guy needs to get some dry nappies. He's really got some real issues here. Yeah. Keep the music, says Neville. Didn't you ask me to take it away? Trump needs Pablo is stuck in the sovereign wealth fund. Pablo, we can't have a sovereign wealth fund. We have to pay back $38 trillion in federal debt before we can start considering a national sovereign wealth fund. If, in fact, we lowered it. The problem you have to understand, folks, is that we're borrowing money today at 4.5%, 5%. The money we're paying debt and interest on now was at less than 1%, some of it at 0% or 0.25%, but we have to pay it back. We are paying $1 trillion a year on the deficit, interest alone. That's how much debt there is out there. We cannot have a sovereign wealth fund until we eliminate it. You do not invest when you've got a debt burden like this. You have to reduce the debt burden, then you can invest. Okay. All right. Jan says, will Trump stop the degenerate drug cities where it's illegal? No, he can't. He has no control over that. That's up to local jurisdictions. And Renzo says, Ronaldo sent me. Didn't he end a long time ago? Is he just ending now? Good Lord. Will Trump use military against cartels? No, he won't, because we don't have cartels in America, and he's not going to deploy our military abroad for drug interdiction. Devet sounds South African. He is scientist. He is South African. He works for News 24. 4 years, in 4 years he can do it, says Pablo. Okay. Told you there was an underhanded reason. Now let's move on. I don't know what that was. I missed it entirely. Okay. I meant, how does the voting for the candidates in the House work? Oh, it's okay. All right. Well, every state's different, Matthew. I've mentioned this many, many times. Every state has their own election laws. So the first Tuesday of November is always election day, regardless. Every state has an election, sometimes just local authorities. Every 2 years, it's members of Congress, the House, and every 6 years. So you have 2 senators for each state. So it's not every 6 years, but it's not every 2 years because you've got one, and then the other one comes along. But roughly one third of the senators have to stand for election every 2 years because 100 senators. So the reason the vote is taking so long is because you have mail-in ballots and you have absentee ballots, federal absentee ballots, and you have provisional ballots. Every one of those ballots must be looked at and adjudicated by an election official manually. Not like when all the voters came into my precinct, they were handed a piece of paper, a ballot. They went into another room where they had a divider for privacy, and they selected their candidates by filling in their ballot form with a Sharpie. And so they fill in the ballot form with a Sharpie. They mark their candidates, like right here. Say, I marked my candidates. Then they walk into the next room where we have the Dominion machines. They take their ballot. They personally, no election official interferes with them, they feed it into the machine. Sometimes it gets kicked back because it didn't go in quite right. Okay? It says rejected. Then you put it back in. The machine scans the top and the bottom simultaneously, including signatures for write-in candidates if you write somebody in. That information is stored on 2 compact flash drives, which are identical, and it's then also stored in the memory, and it has backup power. So when the polling is down, now the ballot goes through, it's read, then it's the machine dumps it in the bottom, which is locked and secured with a zip tie with a numerical seal, which must be annotated before the polls open. And before we actually open the machines, we have to run a report, run a zero report, print it out for a record, has a timestamp on there of when it said 0 votes to confirm that there were no votes when we open the polls. And then all that gets taken care of. So then that's how it's done at our polling station, but that's different all over the country. But if I come in and my name doesn't appear in the voters' rolls for whatever reason, then I have to do a provisional ballot. So then I get the same ballot, but that ballot is then taken and you sit down, they come to the judge elections. I confirm that they have to do a provisional ballot. They sit down, they fill out an envelope on the front, which has their personal information, then their address they believe they're registered to vote at, then their current residing address, then they sign the affidavit twice, then the judge has to sign it, and then the minority inspector has to review it too. They're given a ballot, they fill their ballot out, okay? They fill their ballot out, same ballot, same way with a Sharpie because it goes in a machine, but then the ballot is folded like this. It's put inside a privacy envelope, which has no markings on it. It's green in this case, they change color. For election. Then that is placed inside the larger white envelope. It's sealed by the judge, signed by both officials, and then that must be hand carried to the Board of Elections on election night. As judge elections, I have to do that. Now, in a normal election, I might get a dozen to 18 provisional ballots. I had nearly 80 provisional ballots on election day because there were so many problems with the voters' rolls. There are a lot of people who are first-time voters or low-propensity voters. That means people who rarely vote. Some of these people only vote every 4 years, only for presidential election. That's the only time they come out. So they may not have been on the rolls or there may have been a change. And there's also new voters who didn't show up. We have the books printed, and then at the last minute they print a supplemental for any changes or new people that don't show up in the books, and they show up in another book. A lot of those people weren't in there, so we had to do provisionals. Every one of those ballots, that's going to take an official about 10 minutes to review that. They have to check the rolls to see if they're actually registered. They have to verify that no ballot came in from that person, and then they go on from there. So, it's time consuming, and it depends on how many people you have. That's just Pennsylvania. Every state's different. Not every state allows this stupid mail-in balloting, but every state has provisional balloting because you have to do that. So that's why it takes so long. So I hope that helps explain it. Yeah, so that's why it's taking so long to get the vote for the House. If I could, and I can, introduce you to my alma mater in Aachen, then you shall understand Schlangende Verbindung, the most honest folk. Okay? How does Trump stop these sanctuary cities? He doesn't. He has no authority to stop a sanctuary city. All he can do is cut off federal funding for people that fail to adhere to federal law. He can prosecute them, too. If they're violating federal law, then he can take them through federal court and he can sue a state. Yep. All right. Think about it. To whom is the debt being repaid? What countries do not control their own currency? Well, Rosalind, it's very simple. 67% of U.S. national debt is owed to me and the other 330 million Americans, either through the California pension system or through bonds. There's a super chat. Wow, super chat. All right, so I'll get to that in just a moment, Renzo. So we own most of our debt. Countries abroad, the largest single holder of foreign federal debt is Japan. Then you have China, which comes next. China was ahead of Japan for a few years, but they sold a lot of debt off because they're in trouble and they need the cash. And so Japan comes first, then China. Further down the list, the next country usually is the United Kingdom, Germany, and it drops off from there. But two out of every $3 is owed to Americans. So if we default on it, we bankrupt ourselves. So the nonsense in America is beholding to China or to some other country because they hold our debt. No, they're at a greater risk. If we default on that debt, they're the ones who are going to suffer because that affects their economy far more than ours. Although it's not a good idea to default, and it's also unconstitutional. Sorry if this has been covered before, but what's your opinion of Trump's peace deal? What peace deal? Okay, there is no peace deal. What are you talking about? What peace deal? What are you talking about? See, that's not very helpful there, Radine. Trump's peace deal. I've heard of no peace deal. Peace deal for what? Are you talking about for Ukraine, for Gaza? Trump's peace deal. There's no peace deal. Nothing. There's no peace deal. He's not announced any peace deal. Okay. Phil Marchant says, perhaps you can help. We know that the Dems want to flood USA with migrants so as to catch their votes in 5 years. But does two-tier Keir have the same in mind, or is he a Russian op? Yeah, Keir Starmer and the liberals in the UK are self-loathing, racist, Christian-hating, white-hating racists. That's what they are. They want to undermine what is England. They want to undermine what is Scotland, what is Northern Ireland. And they have no qualms about eliminating the people there who are the people from the country. So the Democrats want to distort things because the census has a rule that's invalid in my book, and it should be banned by the courts, in which under Biden, the 2020 census, they changed the rules so that they counted population, not citizens. And so when you count the population of a location, and you have more people there, then you get more representatives in a Democratic district without even having more voters. That's what people overlook. They're like, well, they want to turn them into voters. They don't have to turn them into voters. If my district has 600,000 residents and the Biden regime dumps another 100,000 into my district, which is conservative, then it'll be broken into two. So another district will be created and one that will be more liberal, and they'll pick up another seat. So that's what it's all about. I don't know what Keir Starmer's up to. He's an evil person who needs to be prosecuted for his crimes against Brits. Yep. I mean, allowing a young man, 18 years old, for carrying a British flag on the streets of Great Britain to go to jail for 12 months, that's sick. Putting a man in jail for 2 years and 8 months because he was present at a protest, but committed no crime. The judge said, I convict you of no crime, but your presence, you need to go to jail. And so the 61-year-old committed suicide in prison after being there for a few months. This is a government out of control. They allow a ring of South Asian pedos to rape and molest thousands of English girls, turning them into prostitutes, whoring them out, filling them with alcohol and drugs. Admittedly, they have useless parents, so this wouldn't have happened. But doing this to thousands of English girls, destroying their lives, impregnating with offspring from South Asia. And the cops look the other way because they're cowards, they're pussies, they're afraid of being called racist. Whether it's a South Asian girl being sexually molested or it is a English girl being sexually molested, one would expect and demand the same response of law enforcement to stop this pedo criminal activity. But no, They allowed it to happen to the English. Same thing's happening in America. We have Americans being murdered by criminal alien invaders, and people want to call you a xenophobe or racist when you point that out. Any crime committed by a criminal alien invader who crossed our border illegally is a preventable crime. And any leftist who tries to say, well, Americans commit crimes is just full of crap. It has nothing to do with Americans committing crimes. It has to do with people who should not be here, and then there never would have been death. Laken Riley would be alive if that man were not in the country. The young lady who was raped and murdered in Frederick County, Maryland, would be alive. Kate Steinle would be alive. And that man didn't even go to jail for carrying a firearm when he was a criminal alien invader deported half a dozen times, here he illegally, carrying a firearm, walking around the city of San Francisco and murdered Kate Steinle and didn't even go to jail. Can you believe it? Everybody's forgotten about Kate Steinle. I have not forgotten Kate Steinle. That should have been the clarion call about how sick, broken, and twisted the leftists are and the Democrats are in this country to allow that nonsense to happen. Only Bill O'Reilly carried that standard. But let's take a look at Kate Steinle. No one's talked about Kate Steinle for a long time. I had to retype it a couple times. I couldn't even find it. Oops, that's not it. Kate Steinle, not Steinberg. Who's that? Kate Steinle. There we go. Kate Steinle. The killing of Kate Steinle. On July 1st, 2015, 32-year-old Catherine Kate Steinle was shot and killed while walking with her father along Pier 14 in the Embarcadero district. So it wasn't the Presidio. It was east of Presidio. It was near the bridge. Sorry, my mistake. Of San Francisco. She was hit in the back by a single bullet. The man who fired the gun, Jose Inez Garcia, said he found it moments before wrapped in cloth beneath a bench which he was sitting, and that he picked it up. The weapon went off. The shot ricocheted off the concrete deck of the pier and struck the victim, who was about 90 feet away. She died 2 hours later in the hospital as a result of her injuries. On November 30th, 2017, 5 days after deliberations, the jury acquitted him of all murder and manslaughter charges, and federal manslaughter and assault charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. He was convicted of being a felon in possession of a firearm, but that was overturned on appeal. His immigration status made the shooting controversial, led to political discussion around San Francisco's status as a sanctuary city. Garcia Zarate, an illegal resident residing in the United States, had previously been deported 5 times. And he murdered her and didn't go to jail for it. Wow. He was eventually convicted of being a felon in possession of a firearm, though. But that was overturned. What Ukraine peace deal? He has no Ukraine peace deal, Radine. Where are you getting your information from? There is no Donald Trump Ukraine peace deal, which has been announced. Okay, Renzo, your super chat. Sorry it took a while to get to it. I'll give the bell again. One thing I can't fathom is that I got to take these headphones off. I don't know why I have the headphones on. I was for Ronaldo, so I'm killing the battery on my headphones. Those Bose headphones. By the way, these are hard to come by. If you want to buy these noise reduction Bose headphones, now all you can get is the stupid Bluetooth version. I don't want a Bluetooth version. It defeats the purpose of having it on a plane. You need one that has a cord on it, a connected one. Idiots. It's the whole purpose. Most people buy those stupid things on a flight so that they don't have to listen to the noise, and then they come with Bluetooth. Anyway, boy, that's a lot better. I can hear sound around me now. Now I can catch the criminals breaking in my house. One thing I can't fathom is that all my Jewish family USA voted for Kamala and Democratic Party. Am I missing? Your family are missing something. Jews are notorious in America for voting against their best interest. I don't know why, but somehow they've been convinced the Democratic Party that hates Jews and is very anti-Semitic in all its actions is where their home is. I don't know why. It's Republicans who stand up for Jews. I mean, only Republicans stand up for Jews by and large. So whatever. They're not very bright, apparently. But thank you for the 75 Rand. England is no more. When you incarcerate someone for waving the national flag, yeah, exactly. What was funny for me is that the first time most people didn't want Trump to be president, but now most people do. No, you're right, Lawrence. But it wasn't most people. It wasn't most people. He didn't get a majority of votes. That's true. He didn't win a majority. This time he's won a clear majority. But most people want to be president in 2020 as well. He got 74 million votes, nearly 75 million in 2020. But we all know what happened there. So, Nigel Farage. Yeah, I like Nigel Farage. Okay. Queen Elizabeth, where does she go? She's gone. Thanks, Chris. President Donald sure has his work cut out sorting out the skewed voting system. He does, but that's not anything for him to sort out. That's up to the states. And we've worked on that in the past 4 years. Georgia fixed their voting laws to a degree. Pennsylvania amended theirs, although it's still a mess. So we improved the situation, made it more difficult. We made it too big to rig. Yep. You must remember that many well-off Jewish families tend to be Democrat in viewpoint. Yep. Even in Israel. Yep. Oh, the Kate Steinle story is so sad. She's dead. She's been dead for 9 years. She should be in her 40s now. But Kate Steinle, a beautiful woman, murdered by a person who shouldn't have been in the country, deported 5 times. And the Democrats will defend that. They think it's okay for criminals to come to this country and murder, rape, pillage, rob, and harm Americans. They think it's perfectly okay. And I think that these people should be removed from office. They are a cancer on society. Pablo says, I'll never go to Barbados, not even to watch a video of nothing. The leftist government left the British monarchy of self-interest. Well, they'll pay a steep price for that, particularly with tourism, which will drop off. Charles Renzo says they're missing the boat. Yes, they are missing the boat. Neville says, Brendan Huntley got asylum in Canada for being a white in South Africa. Could I try this in the USA? You can try it. I don't know if it'll work. Not forgotten Brendan Horner. Yep, I haven't forgotten Brendan Horner either. I'm one of the few commentators who mention Brendan Horner periodically, and I do it quite a bit. Philip says, keep speaking truth about criminal traitor Keir Starmer. Keep talking about the criminal actions performed by the Dems trying to destroy America and her children. I do. Unfortunately, I don't have 1 million in my audience. I wish I did. I would kill for that audience for a lot of reasons. Number one, imagine if I had 1 million subscribers. The ad revenue alone from that would be sufficient to live off of and to support this business and to travel and to go meet people and do research and investigate. So, yep. James says, what do you think of Elon and Vivek in the Department of Efficiency? You must be coming in late. I already discussed that. I think it's comical that we're creating a department, a cabinet-level department, when the idea is to reduce government. You shouldn't have to do that. If they want to point him the efficiencies are, that's fine. But to create the Doge department, that's silly. I don't think it's a quickly good idea. Steenkamp says, congratulating new defense secretary. I'm not thrilled with that pick. Do you think Menendez brothers will get released? It sounds like it's Stephanie. Hey, Stephanie Hansemichael, one of my favorite names. Stephanie, it sounds like it. I don't know why they think suddenly these guys are okay to let go. It's interesting. Netflix keeps trying to get me to... Why am I buffering over here? Okay, I'm buffering on that. So let me... what's going on here? Hang on a second. Am I even live anymore? Too many crickets. YouTube. Am I even live? Okay, come on. Well, it's not connecting. Yeah, I am live. Okay, Jesus, I'll tell you, man, I swear. Yeah, do business Matt Kana, always late for the game. What game are you talking about, Garrett? What are you talking about? Yeah, we have a push for Islamic Sharia law. Some areas already have allowed it for civil reasons. At the same time, Iraq has just legalized consensual down to 9 years of age. No, that's you cannot have Sharia law in the West. It doesn't work. It's contrary. Yep. I'm aware, but this is also psychological warfare. ICE can't do the job, but if they chew away invaders outside the cities, it will force circumstance, will change public sentiment. Huh? I'm not sure what you're saying. AOC is committing treason with her. I don't know if she's committing treason, but she's certainly an idiot. Don't know if it's official, but the idea is to create a demilitarized zone in Ukraine. No, it hasn't been released officially. Well, that's my idea. Trump stole my idea. He stole my idea. Also, Ukraine's going to have to recognize the de facto annexation of Crimea, or we're not going to have peace. What has happened to the Capitol policeman who shot the U.S. veteran January 6th? Nothing. That guy, we only know about who he is because he self-identified. They covered it up. Not even a year, and the leftist Keir Starmer's already given away an island. I do not care, truly, other than... Yeah, Keir Starmer's nasty. Chantel, welcome to you. And how was your checkup? Wait, is everybody just now tuning in? What's going on here? Yes, so it wasn't a checkup. Menendez Brothers, interesting case. It's a bizarre case. UK gives benefits for second wives. I know, isn't that insane? And Germany gives Kindergeld for people popping out babies or coming with 35 babies from Romania or from Syria. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. It's the death of Western civilization because of the stupidity of Western civilization, and includes the United States. Britain now belongs to the non-British, and the Dems tried to give USA. Yes, but we stopped it for the moment, Neville. We have stopped it for the moment, and woke is on the retreat, at least at the moment in America. It'll rear its ugly head again. It wasn't a checkup, Garrett. I had some concerns about some chest pain. I didn't think it was a heart, but I didn't want to be stupid and take chances, so I got an appointment, went in, had EKG, really good. And as I showed the audience earlier, for those who were here, This is my heart rate. I took a picture of the monitor on the screen. So there you go. 131/90 with a pulse of 50. I told her, because when she did the EKG, my pulse was 48. I said if it was any lower, I'd be a vampire or I'd be in hibernation. 40. I mean, that's 48 heartbeats per minute. Think about that, folks. How many people have 48 heartbeats per minute? I'm not boasting. I'm just saying that's pretty low. I get much lower, I'll be like falling asleep. Anyway, yeah, but that's all it was. So I had a chest x-ray. We had some concerns there. We looked at all the underlying factors, no history of heart disease, no diabetes, no this, no that, no smoking, none of these things, no contributing factors. So anyways, just being cautious. It has actually been going on for some time. I think it has a lot to do with sitting in this chair. I'm not comfortable because none of these chairs are high enough for me. So I'm sitting at an awkward angle here. I'm probably putting pressure by leaning over on my chest and probably affecting the muscles over here. So, yeah. Exactly. Neville says 48 beats. Are you hibernating? Yeah, exactly. It's like a black bear hibernating. That's right. Chris, are you awake? Yeah, low heartbeat. Explains the Viking blood. Yep. Do you want a standing desk? I don't care for a standing desk, but I do need to get a proper desk. But it doesn't matter. None of these chairs are made properly. They're not high enough. I've got this thing all the way up, the pistons all the way up, but it's not high enough. And I've already replaced this chair once. So, have you seen the new chairperson of Southern Caucus of Pan-African Parliament? No, I don't care for Dudu Zuma. She's a lunatic. Yeah, or Dudu Zila. Already can help with the Mexican. I don't need Arnie's housekeeper. My best friend just had a heart attack Monday running on a treadmill, and he was very fit. Well, Flesh, and that's why I went and got checked out. I'm taking things for granted. I'm not 25 anymore. So, it's the care is there. And so, I'd be foolish not to check into it. So my neighbor on the other side, one street over, 62 years of age, dropped dead a few weeks ago. I think he threw a clot, had a heart attack. So, it makes you pay attention. But, those are good numbers, man. And the EKG was clean. It was great. No problems there. But, I don't know. I'm feeling a little twinge. Is it a muscle? I thought it might be a muscle initially, but it carried several times. And now, after having talked to the doctor, he's pretty comfortable that it's not a heart issue. Not going to refer me to a cardiologist. So, we're just going to look at a few more things. Look at the x-ray. And, yes, the people that had let's go. Yeah, no, I didn't have that. I never did get that nonsense. So, yeah. But actually, I was talking to people at the clinic and talking to one of the nurses. And, yeah, a lot of people in uniform are getting regular checks of their heart because of that jab. Yep. Johnson & Johnson, which was canceled for heart problems. Now he has heart problems. Yep. That's terrible, Lightning. Terrible, terrible, terrible. They destroyed the world. Social cohesion. They destroyed a generation of children, many of whom will become psychopaths because they have poor social skills. They undermine their education, and they've dumbed down our society even further. We have a generation of children who are entering kindergarten and first grade and second grade who can't catch up because of what happened to them. We have entire economies disrupted. Go to a minor league baseball game, go to a hockey game, go to a sports event. Very few people go to these things anymore. Go to restaurants. Oftentimes they're half empty or long or worse. Neville says 65. I go for biannual checkup. Glad to say I'm still running strong. A lot of heart failure in my history. There's none in mine, thank goodness. Knock on wood. So, yeah, that was a question. Most people know that I had jab. Most people are constantly sick. He's always got checked, but he's gone now. He's been traveling around the Far East and had the jabs. Gotcha, Flushing. Yeah. No, look, I understand but it's bring your mic closer. Okay, should I come up here? Bring your mic closer. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know why. No matter how I set this darn thing. So let me see. Let me turn it up. That's also not up all the way. So now I've turned it up. So let's see how it sounds now. If you guys can pick it up, all right. How it sounds now. If you guys can pick it up, all right. How it sounds now. If you guys can pick it up, all right. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good from this end. Yep. All right. So I care for my mom who turns 91. Wow, Neville, that's awesome. 91 on the 26th. Congratulations to your mom. That's a long way to go. That's pretty cool. Nice road to hoe. My neighbor, who's a developer, lives not too far from here, was stopped at his house yesterday and chatted with him. He's 83. 83. Bop. Yep. Now every time, no, it's not Bop, but he's got it from the same area, from the Rhineland, and that's Herbert Grönemeyer. You may know him from the movie Das Boot. Ja, tief im Westen, wo die Sonne verstaubt, ist es besser, viel besser als man glaubt. Deep in the West, where the sun is obscured, life is better than most believe. Yep, that is Herbert Grönemeyer. Yeah, but that's not Bop. Bop is different. Your dad is nearly 91, Renzo. That's incredible. By the way, I want to tell you this. So last night I did a little bit of genealogy. I have not touched my tree in months. So I went to my genealogy tree last night, and I noticed I had a duplication, so I fixed it. And I had to merge some people and, fix the line. But my first cousin, 3 times removed, died in 1972. Now, that's so what? He died in 1972. Now, I was a young kid. I was alive. But my first cousin, 3 times removed, who died in 1972, was born in 1867. 1867 to 1972. Can you imagine the change? This boy was born in the ashes of the Civil War and born in what is West Virginia. Grew up during the golden gilded age of America as the railroad spread across the country. Electricity made its way into America. The 20th century came, and by the time the 20th century came, he was already 33. I should be so lucky. I should be so lucky to live into the next century like he did. Wow, that's incredible. Neville says, my dad passed away at 105. Wow, Neville, that's incredible. Well, that's what I'm talking about. My first cousin. So the DNA is there. The building blocks are there, folks. 105 in West Virginia. Can you imagine that? Wow. Hey, Ants, how's it going? My grandmother's 95. I'm pretty sure she's going to outlive us all. Yeah, that's impressive. I'll tell you. And the thing is, if you have quality of life, these people, like my neighbor is 83, has great quality of life. His wife, they're fantastic people. Yeah. So, wow. It's amazing stuff, folks. When people live a long life. I remember when I was a kid, they used to have those commercials for Dannon yogurt. And they would always go to Georgia in the Soviet Union and show these people who were in their 90s and over 100 years old. He never smoked and loved his Johnny Walker. Well, that's awesome, Neville. Pretty cool. That is pretty cool. 105. Man, that's impressive. Yeah, I'm planning on living to be 115, so I've got a long way to go. But, got to take care of those niggles when it's time. George's mom is 89. She's frail, but she's still sharp. Well, the body fails us, and women are at a disadvantage. I know they live longer, but they have challenges that are unique. They tend to get osteoporosis more frequently than men because their bones get bleached because of the change in hormones later in life. Fuentes is a parody of what the left thinks he is. I think who's that, Nick Fuentes? After 75 is a bonus, says Stephanie. Hey, you know what? Let me put this in perspective, folks. In 1990, I was sent to Saudi Arabia on the advance party for 3rd Armored Division in the 3rd Battalion, 8th Cavalry, 2nd Brigade, 3rd Armored Division, part of the 5th Corps. I was sent to Saudi Arabia advance party to set up for our battalion coming down there. We eventually fought the Gulf War. Before I went into combat, my expectation was I may not make it back. We had been told the Iraqi army had 750,000 troops, and their Talwakana division, their Republican Guards divisions were elite, and that we were likely to suffer heavy casualties as a consequence of that war. So I made my peace with the fact I may never return, thinking I might not live. Every day since March of 1991 has been a blessing, and I've never taken it for granted. It's 33 years of life that I didn't think I was going to get, and here I've had it. Yep. Neville says, sorry about your short age. I'll live forever. Only the good die young because you're evil. Your oldest son passed at 26. I'm sorry to hear that, Neville. Sorry to hear that. King salmon have a long live. We live in South Africa. Electricity just after you. Okay. Oh, you got electricity just after us. Renzo says, my grandfather's siblings came to the U.S. from Lithuania in 1924 through Ellis Island. Are you sure Ellis Island shut down before that? I'm pretty sure. When did Ellis Island shut down? Let me check on that. When did Ellis Island? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I thought it shut down before that. I could be wrong. Must have been, maybe it was around that time. When did Ellis Island close? Stop processing immigrants. Oh, 1954. Why did I think it closed in 1920s? Wow. I stand corrected. Where am I getting that from? 1954. Yeah, wow. Sorry about that. I haven't eaten today. Maybe I'm getting dizzy here. Thank you for sharing that, though, Renzo. That's pretty cool. Wow. 1940. I have no ancestors that came through Ellis Island. My ancestors were all here long before such a thing existed. We were here before we were inviting immigrants to come here. Yeah. So my last immigrant ancestor came to America around 1848, 1849, and he worked at the Kanaba Piano Company. That's boy, Kanaba. Yep. Son died at 3 days. You can tell how long one will live for, so be happy each day. Oh, wow, Charles. That's sad. I'm so sorry to hear that. Didn't know that. Yeah, no, life is precious, folks, and it can be taken from you in a heartbeat. Your body failing, traffic accident, robbery, natural disaster. You can be washed away in North Carolina in a flood. Horrible situation. Life is precious. Take every moment and cherish it. My grandma was 101. She said she wasn't living, just existing. Stopped taking pills and called it a day. She went downhill after taking the flu jab. Never took medicine for it, just brandy. Oh, so, well, I take it she's passed. Rizla. And Stephanie Hotson, Michael, and Brian. There's Erica. Hey, Erica. So it looks like a number of people dropping off. We'll go a few more minutes longer here. Yeah, war, especially the front lines, puts your mortality quickly in perspective. It does, Hendo. It does. Yeah, that's why, I mean, look, that's why I try to be a good person and honorable and treat people fairly and justly. That's what makes, the nonsensical leftist and right-wing nut job attacks on me so pathetic and useless. Why do you attack somebody who is only trying to uplift and help others? Charles's father died at 47. Wow. Okay. And Stephanie is grateful every day. That's awesome, Steph. Cool beans, yeah. Had two close friends who died at 18 on the border. Oh, man, that sucks. It's not a natural death. The View had a lot to say about Rubio bad-mouthing Trump before, but did not call Harris. It's a clown car show, Anne-Marie. You can't listen to that show. Those are just evil shrews. Those are women who aren't satisfied at something in their life. I don't know if it's their diet or if it's their station life, their wealth, their sexual life. I don't know, but something frustrates those shrews on the dystopian View. They are really sick people. My 18 years in SADF taught me that. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Charles had another son. Well, that's awesome, Charles. Cool beans. Yeah, I mean, people, we need to cancel. Yeah, we do need to cancel the Ladies of the Dystopian View. That program. But ABC is owned by Disney, and Disney is woke. We need to drive woke out of Disney. I'm a Disney shareholder. I bought 50 shares 30 years ago, and I've reinvested, and they're there. So we shareholders of Disney need to step up and take shareholder action to oust the current scumbag, leftist, woke tards that are running Disney. Yeah, the View is toxic. They're just horrible people. And so are the late-night TV shows. Jimmy Kimmel, what a whiny little biatch. All of them. They're so sad. They're so pathetic. So pathetic. They're just so political, not even remotely entertaining or funny. So, yep. People just need to, kick them to the curb. What stocks will be popping up? Well, you should expect to see some defense stocks pop up, even though he's not a warmonger. Also, you'll see consumer goods rise after Trump puts in place new tax breaks, reducing our tax load. And if the economy soars, although I'm going to tell you this right now. Here's a prediction. All right. I suspect that Jerome Powell will be an ass. He's already screwed up the economy with his rate increases and then decreases, this yo-yo back and forth as the Federal Reserve Chairman. I strongly suspect that Jerome Powell will intentionally undermine our economy and the president because he's an evil leftist. That's my thoughts. So if he does that, Trump's policies are not going to have the full implementation. What should happen is the following. As Trump trims unnecessary federal regulations out of the federal code with the swipe of a pen, that will restore confidence in the business marketplace and reduce the cost of doing business. And that will generate more profit for businesses very quickly and probably lead also to dividends for shareholders, return on investment, which money will come into the economy. And then on top of that, there'll also be likely pay rises for people. That will have an impact. As that happens, and as Trump gets through Congress, turning the temporary pay cuts he had, or tax cuts, to permanent ones, and then implementing new tax cuts, that will have an impact. The deficit will soar briefly, but then it will decline as the revenue comes in as the economy grows. So that's what we need to happen. That's what we need to happen. And there was a reason I was telling that story. Yeah. Oh, so as that happens, then you'll see consumer stocks take off. You'll see banking stocks take off. And Powell will have no option but to lower the interest rate at some point. Hopefully he lowers it at the appropriate pace and isn't a turd trying to stop Trump from succeeding. If he does, the problem right now is if you have a 7% mortgage versus a 4% mortgage, you are paying more than double the interest. Your payment can go like from $1,100 to $3,000 a month. It's insane. So that is the big damper on the economy right now. First off, is inflation, and they raised interest rates to take money out of the marketplace. Well, hoping that would calm things down, but it didn't. So it's a very complicated balance, and Jerome Powell is not the right guy to be the chairman of the central bank. So, yep. Trump is left with a lot of problems, thanks. Yes, he has a lot of problems. But here's the good news, Stephanie. Some of those problems can be fixed easily. They were all own goals by the Biden regime. So fixing own goals is not challenging. It won't take much effort. Drunk driver took out, Richard, yeah, on the way to have our daughter. Oh, my goodness. So you lost your daughter and your wife, or did your daughter survive that, Richard? I don't mean to be too nosy. Sad I flew you back from Southwest. Did your daughter survive? Gosh, I'd hope so. Trump is left with a lot of problems. Yeah, no, MK is not surging, Pablo. No, they're not surging. They're simply poaching. Poaching is not surging. It's a false impression. MK is growing because it's eating away EFF and ANC. That makes it look more powerful. It's not gaining more voters in South Africa. It's just taking from the same pot. I only watch Fox. I've kicked CNN, ABC, CNN all to the curb. Well, I kicked Fox to the curb several years ago as well. Ants, you're late to the chat. I'm not impressed with the Pete Hegseth appointment. I have nothing against him, but I don't think his intellectual capacity is there to handle the job. Just saying. Yeah, Trump does have powerful allies. He does. Hey, Giuseppe, how's it going? MK party will dissolve as soon as Jay-Z kicks the bucket. Correct, Charles. That's why let's not get carried away. He's in his 80s. Anna Marie says, did I see your comment on Sibani Stillwater shares? I saw comments yesterday about how ANC politicians are involved in it. EFF will be all but non-existent. Yes, that's correct. Okay, let me go back and see if Anna Marie Nell had a comment today that I missed. There it is. Did you take a look at Stillwater shares? We did not receive any dividends yet for this year. No, I didn't take a look at it, but I'll look at it now. Sibani Stillwater stock, which I've looked at previously, $4.08 US. Okay, let's take a look at the last time they were ex-dividend. So that's an American depository receipt. They're not actually shares. They're held by the brokerage firm, shares which they hold in the foreign exchange. Yeah, it's not looking good. Here we go. Let's take a look at Sibani. So Sibani Stillwater Limited, $4.07 a share. It's lost 1% today. But that's not the nadir. It was down to 402, so 5 cents cheaper today. So let's come back a little bit. So that's let's look at year to date. It's all over the place, up and down. 5 years. Yeah, there's the problem. 5 years. So in 2021, it was at all the way up here at $20 a share. Now it's $4 a share. It's lost 80% of its value. 80%. So if we look at this price to earnings ratio, there's no price to earnings ratio because it's not making any money. They declared a dividend earnings date on September 12th for dividend, ex-dividend date. So the last dividend they paid was in September of last year. So they're not paying a dividend. You're correct. Yep. Wider than expected loss. Okay. Is it a great value stock right now? Zach, that's an analyst. Let me see if that's for free or not. Yeah, Sibanye Stillwater, not a great investment. So, all right. One company to watch is Sibanye Gold Limited. This is currently sporting a Zach's rank of 2 buy as well as a value grade of A. Stock is trading a P ratio of 9. Its industry average is 12.49, so that's better. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'll take a look at Sibanye. So, and Renz says, take care of your health, Chris. Well, I'm trying. Other stock are not worth it. Yep, I'm looking at Richemont. Well, Pablo, I have Richemont stock. Yep, I've had it for a long time. I bought it because of who owned it, and it's done very well. I just wish I'd had more money. It was in an account, didn't have much money in it, so I bought a little bit. I wish I bought tons. Yep. Anyway, all right, so we've been at it for an hour. It's time to wrap it up. I've got my radio program tonight, so if you want to tune into the original channel, you can tune in to @Real Chris Wyatt at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which would now make it 2 a.m. in South Africa. Not so great. Anyway, thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll catch you tomorrow on the program. Tomorrow, I should have on David Ansara from the Free Market Foundation. Just waiting for confirmation back from him. Let me see if he got back with me. Hang on a second. Yeah, so... All right, tomorrow, David Ansar will be on at 4 p.m. South Africa time for about a half an hour, okay? So I'll set that up, and then we'll do the news later after that. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you tomorrow, and looking forward to a conversation with David Ansar. You guys take care of yourself. Thanks for being here. Have a lovely evening, and always a pleasure. Be sure to hit that like button. Doesn't cost you anything but a moment of your time. Cheers, folks.